Arthur James Bierschbach. I first heard that on the day you were born. Actually, I hope you never see this, but I feel I have a responsibility. There's things I want to tell you, and I really hope I get the opportunity to tell you face to face over the years. But there's no doubt in my mind your Grandpa Jim felt that same responsibility. Dr. James Kincaid was a really smart guy, and I really liked him, and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to know him. Even though you didn't. He passed away shortly after you were born. Dr. James Kincaid had a whole bunch of patents. He was a food scientist at Kellogg, but it wasn't in God's plan that he stick around to help you. And I don't know what God's plan is for me, so I want to tell you a few things that I hope I'll be able to pass on to you over the years. The first thing I really want to make sure you understand is learning is separate from schooling. They're not the same thing. Schooling teaches you what to think. They train automatons who are trained not to question anything about school or authority or their life. Learning is a lifelong event. It's based on how to think. As Thomas Edison said, 5% of the people think, 10% of the people think they think, and the other 85%, well, they would rather die than think. So I think it's really important that you learn how to think. And you start off doing that by reading. Of course, I think reading the Bible should be another lifelong event. I recommend to you the John Maxwell Bible. John was the leadership guru of his era, and he was also a preacher, and he's written commentary about leadership along with the text in the Bible. So I think that's a great place to get going. In 7th grade, I'd like to see you read An Introduction to American Citizenship by Thomas Chronowitter. It includes the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution, and I want you to pay attention as you read these documents. What is the source of your rights? And give some thought to, does the government have the ability to modify your rights? You have to understand that as a starting point. In 8th grade, I'd like to see you read George Clason's The Richest Man in Babylon. I want you to understand what builds wealth and why it's important to build wealth. Start giving some thought to your goals. What do you want to accomplish? What's important to you? And this book will help you do that. In 9th grade, I want you to read The Servant by Jim Hunter. It's a simple read, but don't miss the lessons in that book. This book will help you understand the behaviors of a leader and the way a leader serves. The behaviors are so important that I put them on the back of my business card to add value. I think that's the number one attribute of a leader, to value people and add value. And these behaviors would help you do that. I need to work on patience. That's always a tough one for me, but I struggled early on with humility. Humility is not a big thing in a fighter squadron. Not a lot of people talk about it, but it is important because humility means you're not thinking of yourself all the time. It means you're thinking about yourself less. It's putting the needs of others first. And if you do that, you're always going to have people willing to help you succeed. And humility allows you to have a learning spirit. You never have the attitude that you know it all. So you're always open to listening and receiving input and having people tell you things. Because if you're really smart, you're going to hire people that are smarter than you are in different areas and get the best of the best. Then in 10th grade, I'd like to see you read Think and Grow Rich. Without a doubt, this is the toughest read in the list. I like to go through it again about every 3 years, and because I always get new insights from it. Right now I'm in a study on Think and Grow Rich. And having a study leader has really increased my understanding. The interesting thing is in this study, he's not taking us through every chapter in order. We started with a chapter on persistence, and I had to read that 14 days in a row. First try at it, on day 5, I missed. So I didn't pick it up with day 5 again. I had to go back and start over on day 1. And in each of those 14 days, do what it tells you in the chapter of persistence. So you'll go back to chapter 2 and do the things it tells you to do there, those 6 items. Now, this is a bit of a tough read. It was written in a different age, and I do think the language is misogynistic. Read past that, because the lessons here are incredibly important. I don't want you to necessarily equate wealth with cash. There's a lot of things money can't buy. It's not the money that's important, it's the richness of your spirit and your soul. Money is a tool. You need a tool to do things, but my question is, what are you going to build with that tool? Then, in 11th grade, I want you to read Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. John is the leadership expert of his era, like I said before. At the end of each chapter, he has some tips on how to apply that law to your life and how to use it to make your life better and the lives of the people around you better. One of the takeaways in this book is I want you to understand the title of leader is absolutely meaningless. Leaders lead no matter what their title is and no matter what the role is. Leading from a place of power because people have to, because you're the bully, will not be rewarding and will not be successful. You need to build authority with people, build influence, and they will follow you. One of John's really great lessons that's not in the book, I want you to understand, is there's a video that John wrote. One of the things he said in there is leadership can be lonely. Let me come back to that, because he also says, first, leaders are listeners. If you're humble and have a learning spirit, you'll be willing to listen to what people have to say, and you have to do that as a leader. And leaders are learners. Learning is a lifelong activity, and you have to always learn more because leaders give. And if you run out of things to give, people will quit following you. So first, leaders are listeners, then they're learners, and then they're leaders. Now, John also demonstrated learning is a lifelong event, because in another book, I think it's Leadership Gold, John tells us if you're lonely at the top, you're doing something wrong. So he did grow, and he did change that later on. You're going to get lots of good advice, and you're going to hear things about the golden rule, which is nice. So you should treat other people as you want to be treated, but I don't believe that's good enough. I believe in the platinum rule. It tells us how to behave towards other people. The platinum rule is treat other people like they want to be treated. Some people just want to get right down to business, no chit-chat, and let's go. And you best serve them by dealing with them that way. Other people think it's incredibly rude, and they need you to touch base, talk about how are the kids, how are your friends, what's going on at school or at work or outside school or work. What they're really looking for is to reaffirm the relationship between the two of you. If the relationship is still good, then they're ready to get busy and get down to work. Evil does exist in this world, but if you apply the lessons of this book, I think you'll do well, and you'll be able to overcome things and help other people. One of the lessons you're going to see repeatedly is that you need to surround yourself with people that know more than you do. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich called this the mastermind. John Maxwell in one of his laws talks about the inner circle. These are people that are going to help you, and you will help them, and you're going to develop a relationship with, but it won't be the same group all your life. If you ever find that you're the smartest person in the group, go find a new group. Surround yourself with people that have things to teach you. I first practiced this talk to you in my Toastmasters group. There's 40 or 50 people in this group, and they all know things I don't know, and they all help me. Find groups that can help you. Let me wrap up with something I saw in a recent lesson by Mark Cole, and he is the CEO of all of John Maxwell's, I think right now, 6 companies. And he taught a lesson that I want to share about becoming a great thinker. To become a great thinker, you have to commit to good input, read good books, spend time with good thinkers, ask questions and see how they develop their thoughts, and engage with these good thinkers. Then choose to think good thoughts. What you think is a choice you make. Make a good choice, think good thoughts, reject the bad ones, and then act on those good thoughts. Then let your emotions create another good thought. You can act your way into feeling long before you can feel your way into acting. So act first. Go out and do good things, act on your good thoughts, and then repeat these. Be disciplined, set time aside to think. John talks about he has a thinking chair with a legal pad next to it. And what he does in this setting is that's where he goes to think and reflect. One of the great things I think he says is experience is nice, but it's not the best teacher. It's evaluated experience is the best teacher. So when you reflect on your experiences and learn those lessons and learn to think to create new thoughts, then I think you're going to learn more. Arthur, there's so much more I want to tell you, and I will. If, however, I end up spending more time with Grandpa Jim than with you, I hope this gets you off to a good start. I love you, AJ.